Your peace is waiting behind the pattern you're afraid to break. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. 3 things you'll discover today: how unconscious patterns protect you from change, why peace often feels unfamiliar initially, and what to do when you're scared of letting go. We'll begin with a quote, and the key within the quote is peace, and then the waiting behind the pattern because of fear, right? The quote is essentially looking at how the thing which you so dearly need isn't as far away as the mind may perceive. And what the change really comes down to is the questioning of how honest are we going to be with ourselves. Because there will be patterns that you may have you ever hear, right, a love-hate relationship? What does that mean? It means that there is a disharmony in the combination of what is creating the relationship, the energy which the individuals in the relationship carry, the attachment to specific standpoints, if you will. Now, a beautiful relationship is going to be peaceful because both partners in that relationship, whether this be a job, intimate, a friendship, I'm using the word relationship very loosely, as in, for example, you have a relationship to the weather. You have a relationship to everything in life. So your peace is waiting behind the pattern you're afraid to break. And we need to understand our relationship to our patterns and also the emotions that the patterns invoke in our being. Because I'm not here to shame you, right? Let's say you have some form of addiction, whether that be an addiction to being scared, addiction to a certain habit, an addiction to putting yourself in states of mind which are weak. The list goes on. There's fears of being attacked by a dog, there's fears of sex, there's fears of going out and doing public speaking, there's fears of door to door sales, right? The list is just huge. But I think you get the point. All it comes down to is the structure. Because innately, we're all so similar if you'll drop all of the content. The list, I could have listed 500 things there. I choose to list a few to not bore you. And hopefully, you get the point that your specific details in your life, sure, they may be very unique and prescribed to your soul, but the structure of a human being is that we have awareness, and it's our duty as we travel through this journey to understand the relationship between the states of being, the energy, the vibrations, and innately, how aware are we? How truthful can we take our time on this planet? So, when you have a pattern that you're afraid to break, it's the big thing is going to be looking at the emotions invoked. And then when you look at the emotions that arise, when you take a moment just to sit with the pattern itself, then what you're doing is you're slowing down to create some space to understand. And when you live with space and the openness, the courage to question, to be skeptical, to understand, then it's only natural that you will start to unravel the thing bit by bit. See, sometimes the pattern is extraordinarily charged, and maybe there's a memory or a past experience that is unconsciously driving the pattern. And for the pattern itself to change, you actually have to sit and understand that the pattern is just a stem and not the actual root. So a lot of the times, our external circumstance or the situation that we find ourselves in, it is a sort of a branch of our energetic vibration. And you can't really victim yourself or get mad at yourself. Certain vibrations which are not going to create change in your state, in your circumstance, in your life. And part of the work is learning to let go of the resistance toward where you are, who you are, and your average state. And as you do the work to be courageous, to be open to questioning your resistance, then you start to dissolve the foundation of resistance itself. And then as you walk through life without resistance, your aura can be powerful, as in the energy mounted from resistance, it gets expansive, it gets huge, and that is basically like a parasite or a tick that you have let drain you. And there's nothing wrong with that because, how do I put it? Sometimes that is the nature of life. Whereas if you look very structurally, right? You know that if you have an animal, a dog perhaps, that the dog is not going to live as long as the human in 2025. Who knows? Maybe that changes, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Ultimately, you have to sit with that. You have to look, not run from the things that are inevitable, right? Every time you may consider your animal growing old and passing away, I'm not at all recommending dwell on it. I am just saying that there are things in life that may not be preferable, but that are irrefutable. They're going to happen. As in, independent of where you're at in your life, you're going to have moments of physical pain, whether that be inflexibility or something of another nature, maybe an actual injury. Now, what you do in relationship to that pain, to that injury, for right now, I have some poison ivy on my body. And this is the second time I've gotten it. The first time I got it, it really whooped me. It whooped my ass. Psychologically, physically, I wanted out. This time, I am doing my absolute best to let the alchemy of my being heal my body. Whereas last time, I had to resort to external sort of applications. And by no means is medicine or herbal application bad, but I'm almost just testing myself, seeing how powerful is the energy of letting go? How powerful is the presence which is free of resistance? So, as I accept and just sit with the fact that my body has this right now, can I see? And now, I'm not doing this more so as an experiment, I'm doing it because I know that I'm ready. And I just have this urge to see, okay, can my vibrational relationship to this ivy alter the speed in which my body is able to neutralize the sort of poison, if you will? And hey, that's something that you can test out in many different forms in your life. It doesn't at all have to be a physical ailment like poison ivy. So, three things that you'll discover today. The first one, the unconscious patterns protect you from change because it's like the thing is there and it's always there, But if you don't look at it, that doesn't mean that it just goes away. It's still there. And I'll tell you a terribly funny, horrific story from my past. I'll keep it short. I'm a bit dramatic there. But ultimately, I had a friend, and I'm not going to mention names because I'm sure that would be a little bit not necessary. But I used to hang out with him in later middle school and high school, and he had a dog. And this dog, every once in a while, would poop on the tile floor. And what my friend would do, oh boy, he wouldn't clean it up. He would throw a towel over it. I know. Let's forgive him. And to me, that is a perfect metaphor for what the mind does in the form of thinking and rationalization and justification in lower vibrational emotion. It's like a hamster wheel. You go round and round without ever getting to the root. The root would be, it wouldn't even be cleaning up the poop necessarily. The root would be to potty train the dog. That would be the truth. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And hey, those friends, hilarious people, great people. But ultimately, it's extraordinarily important for us to, okay, yes, I would say clean up the poop, right? It's better than throwing a towel over it. But there gets to a point where it's, man, how about I just train the dog? Or how about I do something sustainable in a manner where, I don't know, you're not just running a hamster wheel low quality pattern anymore. So the unconscious patterns, they keep you from change because they keep you busy, if you will. Now we're stretching, we're getting a little bit off of the example. Now we're just going into the structure of, you see, the patterns are always consistent in a form of routine or mechanicalness. And whenever you have a routine, something that is unquestioned and quite consistent, it is not always what's right for you. It's not always what you need. And there are things in my life I'm directly working on. As I say this, I can see it in myself that there are things that I am so ready to change. And I think this is part of the work. I am not at all acting as any form of a authority in relationship to consciousness. That is not the truth. The truth really is that I'm sharing what I see, and maybe what I see can help you on your journey of seeing. So, why peace often feels unfamiliar, and this is okay, if we take the mechanistic routine, the stale, repetible action, then you can see why peace itself would be unfamiliar, right? Because a lot of us are unconsciously living misaligned lives, where this is why humanity isn't in the golden age. This is why humanity still has change to bring into existence. And it happens on an individual level first, always. Now, when peace feels unfamiliar, it's because a lot of us were so used to a baseline homeostasis, which is thought, which is chaos, which is excess potential, which is being scared, which is having expectations, wanting to control things that we cannot control, thinking that we need to discipline ourselves into perfection. All of this, it's a form of stalling, it's a form of stagnation, it's a higher form of complacency. See, especially discipline. Discipline is a great tool, but the tool itself is not the only universal path to truth. And you definitely will need to force yourself to be disciplined for a certain period in your life. And then you'll realize that you just don't feel the effort of forcing yourself to be a certain way anymore. So, what that means actually is that I'm in the best shape of my life, and I'm not even trying anymore. I just have a set of standards that I don't force myself to do. I can see clearly how I feel when I do them. That brings us to the quote of it's like the hard life is an easy life where you don't do what you need to do for yourself. The easy life is where you do the harder things that create a change in your awareness so that you can actually be present in life. Just with the same thing as the coal analogy. If the coal does not get enough pressure, there's no diamond. So you have to be open to seeing how to put the pressure on yourself. And sometimes mechanistic discipline is a form of complacency. Even if you're mechanically waking up at 3 a.m., working out 7 days a week, doing business 12 hours a day, that could still be a form of weakness, of unconscious running, even though it may be high performing, even though you may be making 200K a year, 300K a year plus. Still, we have to be able to notice our patterns. What to do when you're scared of letting go. And this is, I can't do it for you, but you have to realize the moment that the wave is coming, you have an option which really isn't an option if you see clearly. You either stand in the wave and you get crashed, you run out of the ocean and you don't get the joy of being in the water, or you let go of the fear and you dive into the wave. Whatever it is that you're scared of, it's calling you. It's saying there is something to be learned here. And it's up to you to harness your energy to make that move in alignment in the moment and jump into the abyss, to dive through the wave, to just take that leap and go and just do it. So that's going to happen a lot in life, especially if you found yourself in a lower vibration and your mind is going to want you to not move. And you're going to get to a point where you just understand all I can do right now is get moving. And there's a poem that I love. One line from it is pretty much that if you're lost, don't fear, as in the trees. If you're lost in a forest, the trees around you, the bushes around you are not lost. So let them guide you. Learn to listen to nature, to the higher intelligence of this creation, and see that you have the power to create, to be the narrator of your entire life. And it all starts with awareness. If you enjoy this, share it with a friend. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to invest in yourself, genuinely. Let's go. And really look at those patterns, because as you look honestly with integrity, with sincerity, everything's going to change in your life. And it's only natural that you get with it. And inevitably, the whole world is going to get with it. And so let's usher forth that new age together. If you want to work one-on-one, I only have maybe 2 to 3 slots max. And just shoot me an email. Tell me a little bit about your context, what it was that you resonate with, and the main goal that you know you need to work on. Have an amazing day. Let's go.